Everyone, and welcome to this video. So in this video I'm going to walk through a custom chat history provider that I created that stores and loads the chat history, and the stored chats are then can be accessed across the relevant agent sessions. So in Microsoft Agent Framework, you can store chat history into a server memory through an inbuilt class called as an in-memory chat history provider. But then you also can create your own custom chat history providers to store the chat history. The in-memory chat history provider approach might work well when you don't have large amount of conversations or when the application is short-lived and doesn't require persistent on a data storage. Alright, so I'll give a quick walkthrough of the code. So what I've done here is that I've set up a dependency injection and registered an Azure OpenAI chat client kit service using the configuration from the app setting JSON file, and then I created an AI agent and then I registered an AI agent through dependency injection called as an chat history provider agent. So the chat client agent options has a optional class called as a chat history provider. So here what you do is that here you mention the chat history provider that you want to use. So since in our case we are using the custom chat history provider, so I have mentioned that. You can also use the in-memory chat history provider. I'll just quickly show how to use that. So we can mention the in-memory chat history provider, and then it has an options parameter, and here you can define the options in-memory chat history provider options, and this has different options available, like one of them is chat reducer, then there's the state key, then you can filter the request and response messages. So I'll just quickly show on how to implement the chat reducer. So basically chat reducer means that you can limit the number of chat messages that are stored in a given chat that are stored in the in-memory chat history provider. Alright, so we have an inbuilt class called as an message counting reducer. So we can use that. We can say we need only 5 conversations for last 5 chat conversation to be stored. So also what we can do is that we can create our own custom chat reducer. So I'll just quickly show that to you. So we can say we can create class chat reducer, and this class needs to implement an iChat reducer interface, and this iChat reducer interface has an interface member called as an reduce async. So let's implement that as well. So we can say private task, it has to be an INumerable chat message. Okay, INumerable chat message. Oh, sorry, it has to be an reduce async. Okay, so reduce async. There's some problem with my mouse, just a minute, I'll just fix that quickly. Okay, let's get back. So it has INumerable chat message as the parameter, messages, and cancellation token. Does not return reduce async. Okay, so it has to return the messages task.from result and messages dot, we can say like take last 5 messages chat reduce async. Reduce, is the spelling correct? It is not. Oh, sorry. It has to be a public. Okay. All right, and then here you can mention that class new reduce chat reducer, and you can mention the reducer. So one of the thing is that here we have hard coded this value, so there's no way to like pass the dynamic value through this class. So what we can do is that we can send it the value through constructor injection. So I'll create a constructor, public constructor, and int messages. Let's name it as messages count, because here we already have a enumerable called as message, and then private read only int messages count, and then set this value to messages count, and then we can pass this as a parameter here. So here you can mention like number of messages that you want the chat history to be limited to. All right, so let me just undo everything. I mean, because the point of this video was like to show how to implement the custom chat history provider. So I just took like a brief side step to demonstrate how you can implement the in-memory chat history provider. Okay, let's get back to our custom class. So what is the name of my interface? No, let me check here. Custom chat history provider. Okay, the name of the interface, sorry, the namespace is chat history provider dot custom chat history provider. Okay. All right, so this is our custom chat history provider class. So whenever you create a custom chat history provider, so you'll have to inherit from the Microsoft agents.ai.chat history provider. All right, so what I did, the first step what you'll have to do is that you'll have to create a provider session state. You have to create an object of provider session state. So provider session state is used for initializing and persisting like the provider state in a session state back. All right, so you might now ask what is the state and the state back. So state is an inbuilt session state management that maintains like conversation history and is stored in a state back using state key as the property, using state key property as the key. And that values can then be persisted on a data storage. So you have a state, you have a session, then you have a state, then you have a state back, and that state back can be, and then you have a state key that can be used as a key to identify a given state back, right? So your data storages can be like your file system or databases like Azure SQL DB or Cosmos DB. So here what we are doing is that we are storing the conversation history to a file system. Okay, so what you see in the constructor of this class is that it takes the constructor accepts like a function delegate and a string key, which is the state key. Now state key can be at any unique identifiable value. So in this case I have mentioned the state key to be my name, like Sachin, like to identify whose conversation is this. You can make this dynamic, like you can put it like a timestamp along with it, so identify like what conversation happened on a given date timestamp. Okay, so let's get back to a function. So this function takes agent session as the input and returns the session state. So session state is a class that stores all the relevant session related values. So one of the things is that it's important. One of the most important thing is that it stores the list of messages, and then you have the username, then you have a session ID, and then you have a file name. I mean, these values can be dynamic. These properties can be dynamic. You can add more properties or remove the properties, but the most important property I need to have is this list of chat messages. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, so this function takes agent session as the input and returns the session state, and the chat history provider is a reference to an agent session. Okay, so our custom chat history provider will be a reference to an agent session. So the chat history provider has two methods that needs to be overridden. So when you are creating like a custom chat history provider, so these methods are like the provide chat history async, and second is the store chat history async. So the provide chat history async supplies chat history like when you need them, and when the agent session asks for a conversation message, so this method basically returns the context. So if you see here, so this method returns the context for a given session, and the parameter is invoking context. So just because before the conversation is invoked, so this method is called, and the second method is the store chat history async. So basically this method is called after the conversation is completed, and this method takes the parameter invoke context. So this method provide chat history async takes the context before the invoking the conversation, and second is the store chat history that stores the entire chat history after the conversation is invoked. Okay, so here what we are doing is that we are getting the context of the session, and we are concatenating all the response and request and response messages and storing the values to a given file path after serializing them, while here we are returning the values from the given file path, the conversation that is stored in a given file path. As I mentioned earlier, you can do it from a database as well. Like you can fetch the conversation from a given database identifiable by given state key. Like I mentioned here, so our state key is such in here. Okay, so what I'll do is that I'll debug the code, and step by step we will check the behavior of the custom chat history. So my first conversation is, I mentioned that my name is Sachin. Okay, and also you can create like other options as well, like for the given conversation. Like I'll just show that. So you have created date. I'll just show that quickly. So you have additional properties called a created date, then you have author name, and whether you want to have like a background responses true or false. I've set it to true. So I'll just run this code. I've set the debug on the first prompt, which is my name is Sachin. Okay, so it has hit the breakpoint here. So I'll just step into this code F11. The first thing is that it's going to check if there's any existing chat history for this. So it's going to go to the constructor and check for a given file path. So as I mentioned earlier, the function, this constructor takes like a delegate and a delegate function as the parameter, and this delegate function takes agent session as an input and returns the session state as the output. So we have the agent session here now, and it's going to return the session state. So as you can see here, we are returning the session state. So since the file doesn't exist, so it's going to return an empty. The list of chat messages would be empty. So we see session state. Okay, I'll just step into this. So in the given context should be empty here. So the list of chat messages are empty, and if there is no conversation, it just go here, return an InMemoryChathistoryProvider empty. And now this is before invoking context. Now this is after the invoke context. Now it's going to step into the store chat history to invoke the. Okay, just a minute. I think I should have put a breakpoint here. Anyways, I'll just put a breakpoint. Okay, as you can see, the file is created. So it's like a minute ago. So this is our conversation. So my name is Sachin, and this is the output from the prompt. So, and this is stored in the JSON file. All right. Just run this. Okay. So what I'll do is that I'll just, in the conversation, I'll just say, I'll create a prompt and say that don't remember my name, and we'll see how the agent behaves. Forget my name and never ever recall what my name is. Alright, so this is our conversation. Sorry, this is our prompt. I'll quickly close this. So I have a breakpoint here. Let's put a, just to play safe, let's put a breakpoint here as well, and then execute it. Okay, so we have started the conversation. Now here your session state should not be, your context should not be empty, because you already have an existing conversation, existing chat history. So it's gonna read from the existing chat history that we are storing in the JSON file. So a list of messages. Okay, we are not gonna get any value here, so we have to get it, check it to the context. So your context should not be empty here for the list of messages value. So now we have two messages. Hello, my name is Sachin, and hello Sachin, how can I assist you today? Okay, so it's gonna return this message, last messages. So two messages are returned. Now the session remembers that well, in the past there were two messages in the conversation. Now we step into the invoke context, that is the store chat history. Okay, now the context is aware that there were two messages. Now what it's going to do is that it's going to add those messages. Now we'll see the output here. Understood. I won't recall or reference your name. If you have any other request or need as assistant, just let me know. So now what is happened as that now these two, now there will be four conversations. I think I have reran this. Let me just quickly stop this. Okay, I by mistake I like rerun. Okay, let me quickly open this again. So this was our first conversation, then this was the response from the agent, and then this was my second prompt, and this was the response from the agent. Yeah, another thing I wanted to show was that the thing I mentioned about like author name, created, ad, so those are mentioned here. The author name, the created ad. So basically this will help you identify like whose conversation was this. So in my case, the user prompt or the user prompt is under my name, the author name is under my name, while the prompt created by agent, responded by the agent, is under the agent name. Alright, so what now I will do is that I will say, now since I have asked the agent to forget my name, what I'll do is that again I'll ask the agent if he can recall my name. I'll ask the agent again a question called as what is my name. Now in this time the agent should not be able to recall my name. I think I should okay, let me just have a breakpoint only on the store chat session, store chat history async. So there should be, I think, 6 conversations, 4 chat messages. Okay, understood. Forget my name. Okay, now including the current one, there should be 6 in total. So remember one thing, we are overwriting the same file again and again. We are not like appending the conversation to the existing file. So what happens is that then while serializing and deserializing, you'll have problems. Like when you're deserializing here, there are deserializing problems. So better to like overwrite the same file with the entire conversation history. You ask me, so I don't know. So how? So it doesn't know my name because I asked it to forget my name. We can just complete the conversation. Okay. Now what I'll do is that I will again ask the question, what is my name? But instead what I'll do is that I will just send only a list of the the last message, the older message. Alright, where author name is equal to this, and to list only take the conversation only for the last message, that is the first message, which in our case is my name is Sachin. Now what we are doing is that we are limiting the conversation only to the first chat message that was sent. So in memory chat history provider, if you can recollect, we are mentioning the option here, right, where we are mentioning the chat reducer. But with this option, what you can do is that you can maintain the chat history, but again, instead of implementing your custom chat history reducer, you can just limit the number of conversations that are sent to the agent context. So now the agent is aware that there's only one conversation called my name is Sachin, and accordingly it will respond to that. Okay, let me put okay, that's fine. I mean, we are rewriting the file again, so now the time is 10:29. So it's let's see the response. Yes, so now it responds. Now it responds, like because we are limited in the conversation to only one message, one chat message that we had sent earlier, which is my name is Sachin. Now but in the intermediate step we asked it to forget my name. Alright, after that what we did was that we set to the provider that only pick the the oldest message, which is my name is Sachin, and accordingly when we asked a second we asked a question to this prompt, what is my name, it had reference only to the first conversation in the chat history, which is my name is Sachin. Alright, so it recalled my name and it skipped this conversation where I asked it to forget my name. Alright, so we'll quickly check on the conversation history that is stored. I'll just analyze it quickly. So we started off with telling my name is Sachin, then it responded, hello Sachin, how can I assist you? Then we asked it to forget the name, and then it replied saying that understood, he will not recall my name. Then what we did was that we limited the conversation. What we did was that to ensure that it has forgotten the name, we again asked it in the same question, like what is my name? Then it responded saying that not to recall or reference a name. And then what we did was that we limited the conversation to the first chat message in the chat history, which is my name is Sachin. And again we asked the same question, like what is my name? And it responded with your name is Sachin, since it has a reference only to the first chat message in the conversation history. Alright, I hope it makes sense, like what we did here. I mean, what we did was that we ensured that the chat history provider has the latest context. Okay, like what conversation are relevant and what conversations are irrelevant, and based on that it responded. Okay, that's about it. So I hope this video was helpful to you to grasp the concept behind chat history provider. And if you do have any questions and feedback, do let me know. And thank you very much.